So I recently watched two new MCU productions in Moon Knight and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and oh boy, I've got a lot to say about both. So let's just jump right into it with
Moon Knight.
This Disney Plus show was probably the most interesting one to me when it was announced because I've only known
Moon Knight.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance games and thought he looked really cool but knew next to nothing about him. And after watching it, the show was good? It has some things in it that are bland and basic, like the plot, some boring story beats, and spotty CGI, but wow, I have to say I was not disappointed in the actual character of
Moon Knight.
Okay, I'm done with that. I just like the way he says
Moon Knight.
But yeah, Mark Spector is such an interesting character and is for sure one of my new favorites in the MCU. We've really seen nothing like this character. The portrayal of DID is great and really displays the trauma Mark went through that was the catalyst for it. He also develops a great relationship with, well, himself and Stephen Grant, who at first I didn't have much to think of, but after the whole show, this is the most lovable nerd you have ever seen. Oscar Isaac does a fantastic job switching between these alters and is for sure the best part about the show. There's an effect they use sometimes, like amnesia or something, and while some didn't like it and thought it was lazy, I actually thought it was really interesting and kind of accurate towards DID. The actual suit he wears I thought looked really good except for maybe one or two moments. Other aspects of the show I liked is the actual mythology of Egypt that's explored with the gods and monsters, and man, Khonshu has such a fantastic voice. The voice actor did a great job. Layla was also a nice part about the show, and I'm really glad she got to shine towards the end of the show. Oh man, and the main theme was heat! Maybe even better than Loki's score. But anyways, episode 1 was intriguing. 2 and 3 were pretty meh with the plot just kind of coming to a halt and just going in circles, just a lot of useless plot points and characters. 4 and 5, however, were some of the best MCU TV yet, and the finale was good? It had some really cool moments and some good action, but just like the rest of the Disney Plus shows, it was just kind of rushed. Oh yeah, and then Ethan Hawke. I liked his villain and how dedicated he was to his mission, but I don't know, he was a little boring to me. Ethan Hawke did great, but it was just really hard to tell what was going on underneath, except for maybe one scene. Anyways, getting into some spoilers, I loved Layla's hero moment and her turning into the Scarlet Scarab. I thought it was really well deserved. Representation really does matter, especially in these superhero movies. Plus, Steven going off in the finale was great to see. I'll say one thing I didn't like was the other avatars. They just felt like they were poorly set up and explained, and they were just all so dumb. They got defeated so easily. But Jake Lockley, I really liked his presence in the show. Just him being hidden throughout some scenes and finally getting to actually see him at the very end was great. I'm excited to see where it goes next. So overall, Moon Knight himself is now one of my favorite MCU characters, but with a mixed bag of absolutely beautiful episodes to rushed and average episodes, this series was close to being peak Marvel, but just missed the mark. Spectre. So I'm giving Moon Knight a 7.5 out of 10. And now on to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now I know a lot of people say this about newer MCU movies, but for real this time. This movie was a much needed and great change of style for the MCU. I'm so glad Sam Raimi got to put his whole pussy into this movie, making it a lot more engaging and exciting. Also, he brought along his friend Danny Elfman, who made this movie have an amazing score, and man, those guitar licks throughout the movie were peak! But yeah, besides a few cut or added scenes they made him do, they really let Sam Raimi go out on this movie. With his great color, cheesy but great practical effects, some invincible level gore, and a great sense of heart. Now getting into the characters, wow, I have to say I'm so impressed by Doctor Strange in this movie. In the past, he's been cool to me, but not very interesting or relatable as a character. But after seeing this movie, he's honestly now in my top 5 Marvel characters. He's still got the swagger and spells, but he also deeply cares for people and is more open about his feelings. One of the many messages throughout the movie that I enjoyed was that it's okay to admit when you aren't happy and to live your life as best you can with the ones you love. A line that really resonated with me also is when Doctor Strange was talking to Christine about love, and that it's not that he doesn't want someone to care for or to be cared for, it's just that sometimes he can get scared. And man, that was such a humanizing line for one of the most powerful heroes in the MCU. And speaking of Christine, she was for sure better used in this movie than the last one. Rachel McAdams still could have been used a bit more. Other characters like Wong and America Chavez were also a joy throughout the movie. I swear Wong is one of the best characters in the MCU. He's really holding up Phase 4. And America Chavez was also a great newcomer with a really nice arc and a heartwarming relationship with Steven. They really had a great, teacher-student relationship. She also had some cool-ass powers, traveling through the multiverse, which, don't get me wrong, was really cool, but with the title of Multiverse of Madness, I feel like we could have seen a bit more of the multiverse, so I get some people being disappointed in that aspect. Traveling through the multiverse, we see some new variants and new characters like Bruce Campbell, who is awesome to see as an Evil Dead Raimi fan. Oh yeah, and also Baron Mordo again, who was so useless in this movie. He was seriously so wasted. I loved Mordo in the first movie, and I can't really name a single thing he even does in this movie besides making Doctor Strange and a child trip balls for a second and having an out-of-place mediocre hand-to-hand fight. Oh yeah, and he also introduces spoilers. So he shows off the Illuminati, who are cool, I guess? I don't know. Honestly, the only one who I thought was super cool was Black Bolt and his powers. Luckily, I didn't get too attached to him, though. I also really liked the X-Men cartoon theme when Professor Xavier was revealed. Finally, yeah, John Krasinski is cool. I mean, I don't really get why he's so fan-casted, but we didn't really get much time to see him, so I can't really get a good judgment on him. But oh my god, Wanda killed all of them. Yeah, this fight really reminded me of Omni-Man versus Guardians of the Globe. She fucking destroys them. Oh yeah, by the way, they made Wanda go full villain, all the way mass murderer, and it's crazy. There's really no turning back for her. Besides her 4 useless big demons who stood around half the movie just to die, she was so interesting with her powers and her executions. I know some are saying mixed things about this movie, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. Besides some little things like a weird post-credit scene that's just exactly like the final scene in the movie, and a weird MacGuffin plot that kind of just goes nowhere, the Book of Ashanti. It was a crazy movie with epic music battles, cool concepts like our dreams being our multiverse selves, my theory as well, and a fast pace. This movie was a Raimi-filled joyride, and I'll definitely see it again. I'm giving Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness an 8.5 out of 10. And I know I've been reviewing a lot of Marvel and DC movies and shows, but my next review won't be, and oh boy, I have a lot to say about that show. Okay, bye-bye.
Moon Knight.
Doctor Strange.